If you asked anyone in our town who had the perfect life, they'd say us. My dad, Paul, was the kind of man people respected, charming, successful. The guy who bought everyone drinks at the bar. My mom, Diane, was practically the town's angel, PDA President Church volunteer, the one who brought cookies to every event. And me, 28M, and my younger sister, Jenna, 25F, we were the lucky kids. But perfection is a mask that cracks the second you touch it. It started last Thanksgiving. Dad said he had an emergency business trip in another state. Mom was disappointed, but tried to stay upbeat. Jenna and I cooked dinner and tried to cheer her up. Later, Jenna asked me to grab her phone charger. From Dad's briefcase, he'd left it in the garage. Simple task until I opened it. Inside were two phones. One labeled work and another locked. Labeled home. The second one caught my attention. Curiosity burned through me. I tried his usual password, Mom's birthday. It opened instantly. The background photo froze me in place. Dad smiling with a woman I didn't know. And a toddler on his lap. The woman had her arms wrapped around him. The caption under the picture said, Family Day Red Heart. I scrolled hundreds of texts. Photos. Videos. Another house. Another life. The last message read, Can't wait to see you and the kids this weekend, baby. That was the moment everything I knew about my family started to collapse. I didn't sleep that night. My heart was pounding too hard. My mind spinning. I thought maybe I was overreacting. Maybe it was old. Maybe I misunderstood. But then I checked timestamps. The messages were recent. A week ago, he told Mom he was working late. Instead, he was celebrating a little girl's birthday. His little girl. The next morning, I confronted him in his office. He didn't deny it. He didn't even flinch. Son, he said calmly, life is complicated. You'll understand one day. Understand that he had a second family for 8 years, that he lied to my mom every single day. He told me he never meant for it to go this far, and that telling your mother would destroy her. Then he leaned in and said, if you love her, you'll keep your mouth shut. That sentence burned into me like acid. For 2 weeks, I lived with that secret. Every time Mom smiled at him, every time she defended him when he came home late, I felt sick. My sister Jenna noticed something was off when I told her the truth. She broke down crying, but she begged me not to tell Mom. She wanted to survive it, Jenna said. Please don't ruin her. But watching Mom laugh with the man who betrayed her, that was already ruining her. So I told her. When I told my mom, she didn't yell. She didn't even blink. She just sat there motionless. Like her brain couldn't process it. I showed her the photos, the texts. Everything? Her hands were trembling so badly, she almost dropped the phone. 8 years, she whispered. 8 years of lies for 3 days. She didn't speak. She didn't sleep. She moved through the house like a ghost. On the 4th day, she called Dad into the living room. I'll never forget how she looked at him, calm, almost peaceful. Is it true? She asked. He sighed. I didn't he want you to find out this way. No apology. No shame. Just resignation. Mom threw him out that night. She didn't he cry until the door closed. Then she collapsed. I sat with her on the kitchen floor, holding her as she sobbed into my shoulder, whispering, "Why wasn't I enough?" I thought the worst was over. I thought telling the truth would finally bring her peace. I had no idea how wrong I was. At the week after my mom kicked my dad out, felt like living in a storm that never ended. At first, I thought the truth would finally bring peace. That mom would feel free, that my sister Jenna would thank me for doing what had to be done. But that is not what happened. My dad started talking. He twisted everything. He told our relatives and his coworkers that I was emotionally unstable, that I snooped through his private things, misinterpreted messages, and ruined 2 families out of jealousy. And people believed him. Relatives who watched me grow up suddenly avoided me. My uncle told me over the phone, "You should be kept your mouth shut. Adults have their problems, but you made it worse." Even Jenna, my own sister, said I'd gone too far. She said you didn't save Mom. You just humiliated her. That hurt more than I'll admit. I tried to reach Mom, but she was barely functioning. She stopped eating, barely left her room, and spent hours just staring out the window. I thought if I kept fighting for the truth, maybe she'd see I did the right thing. But then Dad showed up at my job. He came into the office wearing that same confident smirk he'd always had, as if none of this had happened. My boss called me into his office and said, "Your father came by. He said you're dealing with some personal issues." I was humiliated. When I confronted Dad in the parking lot, he said calmly, "Actions have consequences, son. Maybe now you will learn not to cross me." That was the final straw. Something inside me snapped. All the fear, the shame, the helplessness boiled into rage. For years, I'd watched him manipulate everyone around him. And even now, after what he'd done, he was still winning. I decided I wouldn't let him control the story anymore. So that night, I went online and posted everything. The photos, the messages, the proof. No names, but enough details that everyone in our town could figure it out. It wasn't just about justice anymore. It was about making sure no one ever looked at him like a good man again. And by the next morning, the truth was everywhere. By the next morning, my post had exploded. It wasn't supposed to go that far. I just wanted people to see who my father really was, to finally strip away the image of the perfect family man everyone idolized. But within hours, the post spread through every local Facebook group, Reddit thread, and neighborhood chat. Everyone knew the comments were brutal. Some people expressed sympathy for my mom. Others laughed, calling my dad a serial liar and the town's biggest hypocrite. His business clients started pulling out of contracts. Within a week, his construction company, the one he'd built for 20 years, began to crumble. He called me once. Just once. His voice was shaking, but he tried to sound calm. "You think you've won. You've destroyed your mother's life too, not just mine." Then he hung up. For the first time, I felt powerful. Like I'd taken back control from the man who had. controlled us for years. But it didn't stop there. Lily, the woman he'd been seeing, saw the post too. Apparently, she hadn't known about the third woman. Yes, there was another. When she confronted him, he denied everything. Until she showed him the screenshots ID leaked. She left him immediately filed for child support and told her family the full story. MOM filed for divorce 2 days later. It was messy, ugly, and public. But she won the house, the assets, everything. My dad's reputation was ruined. His friends stopped answering his calls. He became a ghost in his own town. And for a brief shining moment, I felt justice. I watched my mom walk into court with her head high for the first time in years. I saw her smile again. I told myself I'd done the right thing, that all of this pain was worth it. But then one night, Mom turned to me with this look I'd never seen before, part sorrow, part disappointment. "You didn't do this for me," she said quietly. "You did it to hurt him." Her words hit harder than anything my dad ever said. Because deep down she was right. DOT, after the divorce was finalized, there was this eerie silence. No more lawyers, no reporters. No phone calls, just emptiness. At first, I thought things would get better. That Mom and I could finally breathe again. But instead, it felt like living in the ruins of a war one day started. The day I saw my dad's office being cleaned out, it didn't feel victorious. It felt hollow. Like watching someone bury a body you'd helped kill. I told myself he deserved it. That justice meant consequences. But the truth, I didn't want justice anymore. I wanted him to suffer. I reread my own posts, the captions, the comments, the sarcastic replies ID made to people mocking him. Karmas Abi TCH ID written. Hope his next family checks his phone first. It wasn't the justice. It was cruelty. Mom started to avoid me. She stopped talking about him. Stopped thanking me. One night she said, without looking at me, "You sound just like him when you talk about destroying people." That broke me. I realized that in trying to avenge her, I'd become a reflection of everything I hated about my dad: manipulative, vindictive, obsessed with control. My sister Jenna still refused to see me. She texted once, "You didn't save us. You burned everything down." I wanted to argue to tell her she was wrong. But I couldn't eat. Because every word she said felt true. Then came the phone call. It was late. Mom picked up and her face went pale. She handed me the phone without a word. It was my dad's friend. His voice was shaking. "Your father had a heart attack," he said. "He is in critical condition." I froze. My first thought wasn't is he okay? It was, what now? I told myself I wouldn't go. I told myself he deserved this. He destroyed everything. But the longer I sat there, the more that silence in the house felt unbearable. 3 weeks later, he was gone. The morning of the funeral felt unreal. The air was cold and heavy, like the world itself was holding its breath. I hadn't planned to go. I told myself I owed him nothing, not after what he did, not after everything I'd exposed. But Mom asked me to come. Not for him, she said, but for closure. When I got there, the first thing I noticed was how small the crowd was. For a man who once knew everyone, only a handful of people showed up. Most of them kept their distance from me, whispering behind my back. I heard one woman say that as his son, the one who ruined him. I wanted to scream that he ruined himself, but the words died in my throat. Then I saw her. Lily, the woman from the photos. She was holding two little kids, both crying quietly. One of them, a boy who couldn't have been older than 7, clung to her dress and asked, "Mommy, why isn't Daddy waking up?" And that's when something inside me cracked for them. Wasn't he a monster? Wasn't he a liar? He was dead. I stood there frozen, staring at the coffin, realizing that every choice ID made, however justified, had brought us all here. I didn't feel victory. I didn't even feel anger. Just an emptiness so deep it scared me. After the service, Jenna walked up to me. Her eyes were red, her voice sharp. "You got what you wanted," she said. "Are you happy now?" I didn't answer. I couldn't because for the first time, I truly understood. I hadn't just exposed my father as lies. ID buried the last pieces of our family with him. When they lowered the casket, I felt nothing. No tears. No forgiveness. Just this crushing silence, the kind that feels like punishment. And as everyone walked away, I stood alone by his grave, wondering if I'd gone too far or not far enough. A few weeks after the funeral, life fell eerily quiet. No more calls, no messages. No noise. Just this constant, heavy silence that followed me everywhere. Mom barely spoke. Jenna stopped answering my texts again. It was like my entire family had gone into emotional lockdown. And honestly, I couldn't blame them. Then one evening, Mom came into my room. She looked tired, not angry, just worn down. She held a plain white envelope in her hand. "It's from your father," she said softly. "He wrote it before she didn't." He finished the sentence. I stared at the envelope for a long time before opening it. His handwriting was shaky, uneven, like he'd written it in a hurry. There were stains on the paper, maybe from water, maybe from tears. It said, "Son, I was a coward. I made choices that hurt everyone, including you. You are right to tell the truth. I lied for too long. But I wish you hadn't. He hated me so much that you forgot I was your father. I wanted to fix things, but I didn't. He know how. Take care of your mother. You'll be a better man than I ever was." Dad, I don't know how long I sat there, reading that letter over and over. At first, I felt nothing. Then slowly the numbness cracked and the tears came. All the anger I'd carried for years, the disgust, the resentment, the self-righteous fury, it all turned into something else: regret. I had wanted him to feel pain, to feel powerless like he made Mom feel. And in a twisted way, I did gotten exactly that. But now, holding his letter, all I could think was how much I wanted him to apologize when he was still alive. And now he never would. That night, I placed the letter in my drawer, next to the phone where I'd first found his secret. The beginning and the end sitting side by side. Grief has a strange way of reshaping time. Days blend into each other, and emotions blur until you can't tell if you're angry, sad, or just tired. After Dad's letter, I couldn't sleep. Every night I replayed everything. The fights, the silences. The choices I'd made out of spite. The way ID wanted to hurt him more than I wanted to understand him. One night I did something I never thought I would. I Googled family therapy. I didn't to tell Mom. I didn't to tell anyone. I just showed up. The therapist was a calm woman in her 40s, with kind eyes and a voice that didn't flinch when I told her things I'd never said out loud before. I told her about the affair, the lies, the betrayal, and how deep down ID enjoyed exposing it. She asked me one question that broke me. Did you want truth, or did you want punishment? I couldn't answer because I knew the truth. For years, ID told myself I was defending my mother. But really ID been trying to make someone pay for breaking my world. Therapy didn't fix everything overnight. It didn't erase the letter or bring Dad back. But it did something else. It made me realize how much of my life had been built around resentment. I started reaching out to Mom. Not to talk about him, but just to talk. We had dinner together for the first time in months. She told me she was thinking of selling the house, and it felt too heavy with memories. I helped her pack boxes. In one of the drawers she found Dad's old camera. She handed it to me. You should keep it. She said, he always said you had his eye for moments. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Maybe forgiveness I sent about saying it's okay. Maybe it's about finally deciding not to carry the weight anymore. For the first time in years, I felt light, not happy. Not fixed, just free. It's been almost a year since the funeral. Sometimes I still wake up, expecting to hear my dad's footsteps in the hallway. But the house is quiet now, peaceful even. Mom sold the house and moved into a small apartment closer to town. I helped her set it up, hung pictures on the wall. Made her promise to stop apologizing for things that weren't her fault. As for me, I moved out too. Started freelancing in photography. It's not glamorous, but it's mine. And every time I pick up Dad's old camera, I think about the man behind it, not the liar, not the hypocrite, but the complicated human being I never really got to know. Last week, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Inside was a photo of me, Jenna and Dad at my high school graduation. On the back, just one line written in Jenna's handwriting. He loved you even when you hated him. For a long time, I just stared at that picture. I remembered how right after it was taken, I rolled my eyes when Dad hugged me too tight. I'd been embarrassed, annoyed. Now I'd give anything to feel that again. I called Jenna that night. She didn't answer at first. But then she texted back, "Can we talk tomorrow?" That one line felt like oxygen after years of choking on silence. The next day we met at a small cafe. We didn't talk about the past. Not the affair, not the funeral. Not the fights. We talked about now. About Mom's new place of work. My photography Jenna's new job. When we said goodbye, she hugged me, really hugged me, and whispered, "He'd be proud, you know." And maybe, just maybe, she was right. When I got home, I took Dad's letter out of my drawer. I didn't burn it or tear it up. I placed it inside a box with the photo, the beginning and the end side by side again. Forgiveness. I sent T about forgetting what someone did. It's about deciding their actions don't get to own you anymore. For the first time in my life, I wasn't he my father's son, or the angry kid who told the world his secret. I was just me. And that was enough. Speech balloon AITA for never forgiving my father before he died, maybe. But I think I've finally learned that forgiveness, ISNT, something you give to the dead. It's something you give to the living, so you can finally live too.